Hello, friends. It's Miss Cianciola. How are you? I am so excited to be teaching you how to write a nonfiction narrative with transition words. Now, I know you already know how to write a nonfiction narrative with an introductory sentence, 3 event sentences, and a closing sentence because we've already done that together. This time, I'm going to add in just one new piece for you to try when writing your own nonfiction narratives. Transition words. Transition words are words that help order the events in a story to tell what happened at the beginning, middle, or end. They help readers keep track of where they are in the story as they are reading. So before we start writing today, let's do a little bit of brainstorming. Can you think of a word or phrase, which is a few words put together, that you could use to start a sentence to tell your reader an event that happened at the beginning of your story? Go ahead and whisper as many as you can think of to me right now. I'll write them down. First, to start, in the beginning, those are all great examples of beginning transition words. First, to start, in the beginning. Now, can you think of a word or phrase that you could use to start a sentence to tell your reader an event that happened in the middle of your story as it continues? Go ahead and whisper as many as you can think of to me right now. I'll write a few down. Next, then, afterwards, those are all examples of continuing transition words. Next, then, afterwards. Can you think of a word or phrase that you could use to start a sentence to tell your reader an event that happened at the end of your story? Go ahead and whisper as many as you can think of to me now. I'll write a few down. Finally, last, in the end. Those are all ending transition words. Finally, last, in the end. Those are great examples of transition words that can tell the reader the timing of when different events happen in your story. You are going to include a beginning transition word for your first event sentence, a continuing transition word for your second event sentence, and an ending transition word for your third event sentence. Are you ready to get started? I am going to write my whole nonfiction narrative at once, but you are going to work on yours part by part, so you can always check back to remind yourself about one of your jobs later on. Before we write, remember, we need to think of a topic for our nonfiction narrative. Your topic should be something that really happened to you. I already decided what I wanted to write about, but you can take your time to think of a story that you would like to share. It could be about a time you were kind, accomplished something, or went somewhere. I am going to be writing about a time I was kind, which was when I helped my oldest sister, Alicia, move into her new house. Now I need to illustrate my story. Can you think of anything that I might need to include in my illustration? Go ahead and tell me. I definitely need to include me, of course, and Alicia. I should also draw her new house and the truck that we use to move all of her things. I'm going to get started. Now my illustration is finished. I drew me and my sister Alicia. I drew a picture of her new house, and I included the moving truck. I also included a sun in my sky because it was a beautiful sunny day when we had to move her. I might think of other things that I would like to include in my illustration, but I can always come back and add those in the end when I double check my work. Now that my illustration is finished, I can start writing. Do you remember what the first sentence of a nonfiction narrative is called? An introductory sentence. I am going to tell my reader what my story is about by writing, in February, I helped my sister Alicia move to a new house. I'm going to sound out my words. You can tell me what letters you hear and I will record them. In February. February. I helped move my sister Alicia to a new house. Now, do you remember what the next sentence I need is? My first event sentence. That means I am going to choose a beginning transition word to start it that will tell my readers this is the first event that happened at the beginning of my story. You can choose any beginning transition word. First, to start, in the beginning. You might even think of one that's not on our list, but I am going to use the word first. So I'm going to write, first, we packed boxes of Alicia's things on a truck at her old house. I'm going to carefully sound out my words. Tell me what letters you hear and I will record them. First, we packed boxes of Alicia's things ings at her old house on a truck. Now, do you remember what the next sentence I need is? My second event sentence. That means I am going to choose a continuing transition word to start it that will tell my readers this is the following event that happened in the middle of my story. You can choose any continuing transition word. Next, then, afterwards, or you might even think of one that's not on our list. But I'm going to use the word then. So I'm going to write, then we drove the truck to Alicia's new house. I'm going to carefully sound out my words. You can tell me what letters you hear, and I will record them. Then, we drove the truck to her new house. Now, do you remember what the next sentence I need is? My third event sentence. That means I'm going to choose an ending transition word to start it that will tell my readers this is the final event that happened at the end of my story. You can choose any ending transition word. Finally, last, in the end. You might even think of one that's not on our list, but I'm going to use the word last. So my sentence might say, last, we unpacked all of the boxes in Alicia's new house. I'm going to carefully sound out my words. You can tell me what letters you hear, and I will record them. Last, we unpacked the boxes at her new house. Now, do you remember what the next sentence I need is? A closing sentence. I'm going to tell my reader my reaction of how I was feeling about my story by saying, I was so excited for Alicia. I'm going to sound out my words carefully. You can tell me what letters you hear and I'll record them. I was so excited for Alicia. Now I'm going to go back and double check my work to make sure my letters, words, and sentences say exactly what I was thinking by rereading them. Let's reread it together. In February, I helped move my sister Alicia to a new house. First, we packed boxes of Alicia's things at her old house on a truck. Then we drove the truck to her new house. Last, we unpacked the boxes at her new house. I was so excited for Alicia. Wow, it sounds like my nonfiction narrative says exactly the story that I wanted it to tell. Great helping. I even included a beginning transition word for my first event sentence, first, a continuing transition word for my second event sentence, then, and an ending transition word for my third event sentence, last. Now it's your turn. Think about a new story that you would like to write about for your nonfiction narrative. Make sure you include a detailed illustration, an introductory sentence, 3 event sentences with transition words, and a closing sentence. Remember, I wrote my whole nonfiction narrative at once, but you are going to work on yours part by part. Take your time and good luck.